up in the morning, took a shot, that's the rock. Girl, you left my stomach in a knot. Took my lighter and you burned the bridge. Thought you was a writer, no, you just an idol. You got me feeling like Big Sean in this 5, 4, 3, 2. I deserve a minute, wait a minute. Gotta get up and over, regain my composure. No longer my lover, finally finished and you did it. Girl, you really showed me. Think with your heart, don't think with your body. Clever. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not Justin Timberlake, write me a river. Lately, I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. You tried to convince me it was all in my head, and I felt like it's that you was me instead. Hey, I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna lead a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a... Lately I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead.
Don't go in there.
Global greetings. Greetings, Oli. Greetings, Layamiga. Those of you who are not familiar, those are the indigenous names for St. Kitts and Nevis. And we're hopeful that one day, we would be able to just use those names to represent St. Kitts and Nevis. The entire Eastern Caribbean, wherever you may be, and those of you who are around the globe listening to us, it may be good morning, it might be evening, it might be midday, depending on where you may be around the globe. You could be doing anything else, but you are locked into us here on Real Entertainment Network. We are streamed live simultaneously on Twitch TV, YouTube, and Facebook. And tonight we have a very exclusive show for you this evening on DeTopiks. We have here with us as guests the Honorable Sam Condor and our usual co-host, Bankie Shabbas King. And we want to welcome, you folks. Please share the link. Join us on the Facebook. We want to encourage you to join us over on the YouTube platform. Go over on the YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube platform. Share. Let your friends know. Even your enemies, let them know that you're logged on to Real Entertainment Network. And we've got a very interesting and exciting and informative educational show for you this evening. So, Bankie Shabbas, greetings, and then we would, give our guest an opportunity to give his introductory remarks.
Yes, and greetings to you and greetings to our guest, Mr. Sam Condor, Honorable, must put Honorable in front of it. I mean, I think he's been one of the longest statesmen serving our parliamentarian, so it's appreciate that he accept our invitation and being here in the show, so just want to give him that respect first. So let me say good evening to the folks in Oli and Layamiga, which is the ancestral name. Greatly appreciate the guys tuning in on this another Tuesday evening of the topics. Not forgetting the folks in the neighboring islands, Sabre, Statia, St. Martin, the U.S. Virgin Islands, also the BVI, and the folks over in Montserrat. Is today learn a lot of folks over here in Nevis is really from Montserrat, from the Walter Way time, which bring down a lot of the people from Montserrat to work, and they are the pennies plantations and the estate and stuff like that. Also, good evening to the folks in Antigua and Barbuda, and also folks over in the Windward Islands, St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and also the folks in the diaspora, North America, from the Florida Keys up to Maine, Chicago, Atlanta, Texas, Boston, wherever you're at in the US, also the folks over in Europe, England, Africa, Asia, wherever you're at, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever is appropriate. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, as Yahsonn said, to share the links. And this evening, we're going down history lane up to modern time. We have a good history of what's going on with Mr. Bradshaw in school, at in fifth form in 5A1. As we used to have independence, I played the role of Bradshaw. They selected me to play the role of Bradshaw, where I was put on a stage and given a line to say, I'm going to give you bone in your rice and pepper in your soup. And that have carried me throughout my adult life, where it searched me to research Mr. Bradshaw. I have his book here, Sam Daniel book. I tend to be a little nerd at times, do a lot of reading. So I really looked at anyone who, for me, the most important thing it was said to a people is its culture and its land. And Mr. Bradshaw have done that, put things in place where we own back all those estates which our ancestors worked for years in the colonial time. So we're going to get into discussion with Mr. Condor. So Sam, I want to thank you again for being a part of this show and greatly appreciate it. You're a historian yourself, and I know you're supposed to be one of the longest parliamentarians. But my thing to you first, yes, and I just want to ask Sam, why is he so easy to get in contact with? Why do we answer his phone? Because this is not normal. I mean, this is weird.
Well, Bankie, here's what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to, because I think with all due respect having a man like Mr. Condor here, I think I'm going to give a little synopsis of him and then give him an opportunity to introduce himself. So,
no problem.
From what I've gathered, says, Sam Condor is a veteran political figure in St. Kitts and Nevis whose career is deeply intertwined with the modern history of St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party. He served as elected representative for constituency number 2, Central Bastille, for over 2 decades.
West Bastille.
West, okay. For much of that, number 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Number 3, Bastille, over 2 decades. And for much of that time, he was the Deputy Prime Minister and right-hand man to Dr. Denzil Douglas, playing a pivotal role in the Labour Party's governance from 1995 onwards. Condor is widely regarded as a grassroots politician, known for his connection to the people and his dedication to the original people-centric principles of the Labour movement. His political journey is a story of loyalty, ideological conflict, and ultimately a seismic break that changed the political landscape of the Federation. He is a key architect of the Team Unity coalition that unseated the Douglas-led Labour government after 20 years in power, and his story is one of conviction over party allegiance. And that's just a simple synopsis. I know there's a lot more that we could speak to of Sam Condor, but instead of going through all that, I'm going to give him the opportunity to introduce himself and speak to a little bit of that. And as Bankie had a question there, if you would want to respond to that, I'm giving you the opportunity and the floor now to give your opening remarks with us here, Mr. Condor.
Well, thank you very much, my brother, for your very flattering and kind introduction. I think you have said it all. I don't think I could add anything to that. I think you have it down pat. I want to thank you all, first of all, for the invitation, and that you all think that I'm somebody who contributes to this program. I'm happy to do so. Like I tell people all the time, all that I am and hope to be is a result of people, the contribution of people like Bradshaw and so on, who have made that possible. I'm living now at Frigate Bay, right? And I'm just telling you guys. I was born in McKnight, through a little alley. The alley was so small that you had to walk through sideways, right? I went to the Irishtown Primary School. That's my alma mater. The motto of my alma mater is strive to learn, knowledge is power. And so I've taken that motto. I always pay tribute to my teachers, my primary school teachers. Dr. Ismay Haynes, Taylor, Teacher Annie, Teacher Carmen, Teacher Miss Gavaya, Teacher Miss Glassford, all those teachers who contributed to my own personal development. And so I want to thank them. Washington Archibald, I'll never forget him. That is one of my mentors. And so I am who I am because people contributed to my development. And so I think I have a duty and an obligation to give back, to make people the best they can be, because people made me the best that I could be. And that I want to make a contribution to make every little boy and girl to be the best that they can be. And that's all I'm about.
Okay, so Mr. Condor, welcome to the topics. And to truly understand your political journey, we have to start at the beginning. What did the Labour Party and the wider Labour movement represent to you when you first entered politics?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you could actually even give the story as to what caused you to get involved in politics and maybe how early you got involved.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I usually tell people that I was born a Moravian. I am very spiritual. I believe, in a superior being, in somebody who's responsible for me being here. So I usually say that I was born a Moravian. The motto of the Moravian Church, and the Moravian has been serving this jurisdiction for 248 years. We are celebrating as Moravian the 248th anniversary of the Moravian Church within the world, and in fact they were one of the early they were one of the early educators. I'm sure you're aware that our school system was by the missionaries, and so I'm a Moravian. The motto of the Moravian is "The land has conquered. Let us follow him." Then, like I say, I was born into the Labour Party.
Again? Sorry, repeat the motto again.
The land.
The motto.
The motto. The land has conquered. Let us follow him. We have to follow
him. The lamb is conquered. Let us follow him. Follow the lamb.
Yeah. Then I was born into the Labour Party. My parents. That's what I know. Labour Party. And the Labour Party, the motto of the Labour Party is for the good that I can do. And I went to my alma mater is the Irish Town Primary School. And the motto of the Irish Town Primary School is strive to learn, knowledge is power. And then I went to the Ruskin College in Oxford, in England. And the motto of the Ruskin College is that you're being educated not to rise above your class, but to raise up your class. And then I moved from the Ruskin College in Oxford, and I went to the University of Sussex. And the motto of the University of Sussex is be still and know. So those are the inspirations that have guided my whole life, my entire life, my church, my school, my Labour Party, my university education. And so that is who I am. I follow that development.
So you say you were born into the Labour movement. Elaborate on that a little bit for those who may not know, because I mean, there's a lot of people who might not necessarily know the story of the young little Sam Condor coming up. So give us a little idea as to what you mean by you were born into this.
Yeah, my parents, well, people like us we are born. We are the Labour Party was formed in between 1921. Yeah, I think that's where it started for us. But there's a close relationship between the Labour Party and the Union. Well, about let's start from 1917, 1918, when there are a number of folks, criticians who were abroad in the United States, and they caught the message of the Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey, I think, went to the United States in about 1916, and so some of the folks there got the Marcus Garvey message of African people, and getting the rapprochement of Africans in the diaspora, and that we as African people are a great race, and we must raise up that race. And in order to do that, we have to come together as one people. That's what they're talking about, the rapprochement of Africans in the diaspora. And those people like, I think, Nathan and Wilkes left the United States and came back home. And they met people like Nathan. Nathan went across to the United States as well, and he came back home. And they met Joseph Matthew Sebastian. And the four of them got together and formed the Labour Party. That is the upliftment of the people. They wanted to do things to uplift the people, give them better housing conditions, better education, better health care, and all those things. And they wanted to form a union, but in those days, it was illegal to form unions. So they call it the Universal Benevolent Society. And so they were going on and still doing things like a union, representing, but you couldn't call it yourself a union. And then they got together and they got a newspaper. And in the visions, I'm sure you all would have heard of Joseph Nathaniel France, a founding, well, really he's not a founding father, but an early man in the labor movement. Came out to he worked in the paper. They would call it the union messenger. That was to spread the word, because we believe that the only how you could develop your people is by education. They have to learn, they have to understand. And so they have this newspaper, Union Messenger. And then that started, and so on. They started getting the people together. And the folks in 1935, I'm sure you all would have heard about the uprising. But even before we reached 1935, in 1932, they formed what they call the Workers' League. Not a Labour Party yet. It wasn't called the St. Labour Party. It became the Labour Party afterwards. But in 1932, you had the Workers' League. And so that is where you had people like Comrade France and Bradshaw and so on kind there. And so they started something in 1935. I'm sure you all would have heard about the uprising. That not only it started here, but it spread right throughout the Caribbean. And the labor movement throughout the Caribbean started from that. As a result of that uprising, and at that time they were trying they were striking for better working conditions, increasing wages, and so on. All those things. And you had you had this uprising. Couple of people died, and so on. And then you had the British sending out the Lord Moyne, what they call the Moyne Commission, and to find out what this uprising was about. And he realized that the uprising was justified, that people were, uprising for better working conditions, better wages, health care, better housing, better education. And he did a report. And it is said that the report was so damning against the British government that they didn't release the report, because the war was going on, the Second World War. The war between 1939 and 45 that was going on, so they didn't release, but they released it after the war. And one of the things they said is that you have to legalize trade union, right? And so the union was established in 1940, became legal. The first president of the union was J. Matthew Sebastian. He was the first president, and the first general secretary was Comrade France, Joseph Nathaniel France. And so, but there was always a link between the union and the party. And so as a result of that, you had a situation where for some time the officers of the union were the same as the officers of the party. So that went and developed things that they fought for, like adult suffrage, to get all people to vote. I mean, before 1952, I think 52 was adult suffrage. Before that, only people with property and certain class could have voted. But after 1952, with adult suffrage, what the union and the party fought for, then you had adult suffrage, and you had people like people in the Labour Party. The first three people elected to government from the Labour Party were Matthew Sebastian, Challenger, and Manchester. Manchester was somebody from the planter class, but he chipped in his lot. He was from the Sandy Point area. He chipped in the lot with the working class, and was basically one of the founding fathers of the labor movement. So that started, and so the improvement in the union, and you get things like holiday with pay, a shorter working week. People used to work 12 hours a day. We now working 8 hours a day. All that is because of the union. Holiday with pay, workman compensation, maternity leave, all those come. I mean, those are things that not happening in big countries, you know. What's happening here? I mean, the benefits that we have benefits that industrialized country, big countries don't have, and that is a result of the contribution of the union and the labor movement.
Yahsonn, your mic pause. Yahsonn, your mic pause.
My mic on pause?
Yes, no, my bad. My mic. Okay, sorry. So yes, Honorable Condor, who were your political idols or mentors within the labor movement? What values did they instill in you?
Well, Robert Bradshaw. And look, I'm saying it here for the first time, right? And because you have asked. I mean, I believe that Robert Bradshaw had a special interest in me. I believe that. And yeah, I am going to share some stories.
Speed up.
Yeah, I had to. I went, like I told you, I went to the Irishtown Primary School, right? And in 1962 or 61, I think, 61, once people finish those primary school and you reach up to 7th standard and so on, you had the all-age school and you had to leave school, right? But in 1961, once they had the comprehensive system of education where you give every boy and a girl an opportunity to get a secondary education, you had something in between that where you had the Bastia Senior School, right? So when you reach 12, you would leave the primary school and you would go to the Bastia Senior School. That's after that introduced a secondary education in like Sandy Point High School and so on. So you had the Bastia Senior School. And my sister, who was older than me, I have an older sister, she went to the Bastia Senior School in 1961 when it started. I was due to go to the senior school in 1963, 2 years after her. But when my time came to go to senior school, my mother said that she can't afford to send me to school. Because when I was going to Irishtown School, I went to school in like a flower bag shirt, you know, because my mother, like I said, abject poverty. I grew up in that. And I was going to school in flower bag shirt. They would bleach out the flower bag. That is too long ago for you guys. You guys wouldn't know anything about that. But you bleach out the flower bag and you dye it and so on. You know, that brown or whatever color you want, and you wear that school. So that was the way in school. But up at the senior school, they had a uniform. You had to wear a blue shirt, khaki pants, brown shoes, brown socks, right? And my mother said, look, I'm not going to be able to do that. So you have to stop from school. Let your sister continue because she's there already. And I don't want to stop her and send you because I don't want to have two half-educated children. Let your sister go to school and finish and so on. And so I liked school and I wanted to go. So I went to look a job as a newspaper boy in order to go to school. So I went, we had the Daily Bulletin, again, that might be before you guys' time, but the Daily Bulletin, it was owned by the Lasados, and I went to look a job there and selling newspapers in the afternoon, after, I go in the afternoon. I used to try to sell at least 100 newspapers because a newspaper was for 3 cents. And I would try to sell 100 newspapers every day. I ain't stopping. I ain't going home until I sell 100 because I used to get 1 cent for every newspaper I sell. So I make sure I earn $1 every day. And I went and I, saved that. I used to give my mother $5. I used to get $6 a week. I gave my mother $5 to help her, and I kept the $1. And we're just talking about Sedman Allowance and the National Bank and so on. Well, before the National Bank, you had the Industrial Bank, which you call the Penny Bank. And I used to go there and save my $1 every week to make sure that I buy my school uniform, my shirt, my school pants, my shoes, and my socks and so on. So that is how I get to go to school. Because my mother says she can't afford to send me to school. And so I went to school in those things. Then I left school. I left school without any formal qualification because they used to go do something called College of Preceptors in senior school. But my mother didn't have the money to pay for the College of Preceptors exam. So I left school without any formal qualification. And I went to evening classes in order to get some qualification. But when I left school, I went to work with the government printry as a messenger and a cleaner. That's where I started in 1967. The 1st of June 1967, I joined the civil service in the printry and so on. Because I had the experience of when I was a newspaper boy, I learned the ropes of printing and so on. So that helped me in the printry, gave me an advantage of wet and so on. And in the printry, I'm coming to the Bradshaw story. In the printry, this was the offset printry. It wasn't the letter press like we were doing with the typesetting. It was they were going into offset printing and so on. So you had camera work and all that kind of thing. But I was doing the because I had the experience of the bulletin. I was able to do some letterpress and learn the offset and so on and so on. And then a position became available. In fact, my first boss in the printry was a man from Nevis again. I had extremely good relationship with Nevisians. Mr. Paris, Western Paris. That is before your guys' time. Western Paris. He became the deputy governor, the first deputy governor after independence. He was my boss in the government print. He was the government printer. And so I worked with him. And after he went to become the deputy governor general in Nevis, the cameraman became the boss. And there was a vacancy for a cameraman. And you know how them things used to go. People think, well, boy, Sam is a big labor man, so Sam's supposed to get this job because he's a big labor man. And so that this union conference and they're saying they gave a lady named Miss Hazel. She went convent school and so on, get a lot of GC subjects and so on. And when they challenged Bradshaw about why I didn't get the job as a big labor man, Bradshaw told them, he said, look, this is not about labor and PAM or anything, this is about qualification. So tell Sam Condor must go and get himself qualified. this job demands certain qualification, and that is how you get promotion. And so Bradshaw was the first man encouraged me to go and get qualified. And I became, well, in 1976, I was there working in the country and getting ready to go off to study Ruskin College, like I just told you. And they had this, Bradshaw was developing a center for the people in Central Bastille. And Bradshaw, I believe he tried to organize for me to become the chairman of the Bradshaw Youth Center, because I think he had a special interest in me. And I became the chairman of the Bradshaw Youth Center. Then in 1976, Bradshaw did the next thing, which I think I was really elated about, is that he put me to serve on the tourist board, a young man in the country. And he put me to serve on the tourist board with people like Freddie Lamb, Lupinacci, that's a guy who was a Nevision hotelier, was up in Nevis. The guy from around OTI, you know, the gentleman there who owned OTI. And all these hoteliers, Kishu Shandaramani, and all those, put me to serve on the board as a youngster. So I saw from the beginning that Bradshaw had a keen interest in my personal development, and he was always my hero.
Sam, I want to go back to 1934. I think somewhere around the time, I don't want to misspeak that. The same time you had Marcus Garvey came to St. Kitts, a visit?
37.
How was it?
Marcus Garvey came to St. in 37.
37. So after the uprising, so how was that? How was that for a young man?
Well, that again, in fact, I think just recently, earlier this year, we had the Marcus Garvey's son coming to retrace the history of the father. That was an important time in the development of the country. I mean, Marcus Garvey, so many sayings. People without a knowledge and understanding of the past doomed to repeat it. St. Kitts, Nevis, this is your Garden of Eden. You must protect it. We got all the messages from Marcus Garvey to elevate and uplift our people. And so that was a landmark. That was a time when the people in our country began to see a new vision in terms of, people of African heritage and what they must do in order to uplift and advance themselves. So Marcus Garvey still is, made an important impact in terms of the development of our people.
Okay, I want you to take us from Bradshaw, Mr. Bradshaw time, because I know from how he went and put things in place to acquire those sugar lands and putting things in place, moving up to independence, started the process. Kind of there was a green paper where he was put in place where Singit have a local government, and then things get in place with the PAM and stuff like that. So lead us up into that part when it comes to Bradshaw and some of these things that he has put in place where we can still benefit of today as a younger generation.
Well, even before Bradshaw acquired land, because the lands were acquired in 1975 in St. Kitts, the 31st of January 1975. But even before that, Bradshaw acquired lands in Nevis for the Nevision people. So, because, the land is our, heritage. We have to, protect it, guard it, and pass it on to future generations. If we are to continue to develop our country. So, Bradshaw saw that as, even before the land acquisition in 1975, You had where I'm living now, over in Figure Bay. You had these lands were nationalized again for our people. That is why people like me could move from, like I said, that in the McKnight area, in the ghettos, to a place like Frigate Bay, you know, because Bradshaw and Labour nationalized those lands for the benefit of our people. And so it started in in Frigate Bay, but then we went on to things like the nationalization in 1975. That was a tremendous struggle for the people, because the landowners. Remember, we had a monoculture with the sugar industry, and so we were basically held to ransom. I mean, people were using the lands. We were living on marginal lands in the gut side. One of the things I always like to talk about, the apart from the nationalization of the land, is what we did at the term under Denzel Douglas when we got into office in 1995-96. I think it's 96 or 97, when we gave the lands that people lived on, the village lands, the Village Lands Act, that gave people the right to own the lands that the parents lived on, the parents and the grandparents lived on. Because, land is basically one of the main source of generational wealth. Land is the main source of generational wealth. When you have land, you create generational, you're passing on something. That is why we always want to make sure that we own some of the land and we pass it on to future generations. And so the land acquisition was part of that exercise. Because the housing revolution that took place in St. Kitts and Nevis is as a result of owning land. Because you can't build houses if you don't own any land. And so that was part of the development, the social and economic development, the land acquisition that was major in terms of making our people. Because before that, before 1975, when we nationalized the land, 5% of the population owned 95% of the land. We were landless people. In fact, even in Nevis people before us were landowners before Kittitians. You all had a better sense of land ownership, a better history of land ownership than Kittitians. But after 1975, when we owned our lands, we were able to create a housing revolution that, gave people a sense of belonging and a sense of creating generational wealth.
Bankie, I am listening to the Honorable Sam Condor here, right? And we are in the beginning stage of going through this discussion, right? And his sharing of the history. But I can't help, after listening to all of what is and what was just said in relation to the land, asking Mr. Condor now his views and opinions on this new SSZ zone and the proposed destiny plans. I'm not certain if you would have seen the video yesterday, but we'll get back to, because I really want to hear about, I was told that Bradshaw would have presented a constitution to England prior to that which was given to Lee Moore. And I have heard of that. I would like confirmation and so on from you. But like I said, it is just because of the fact that you're speaking about land, and a lot of us share the sentiments that you are presenting in the historical attachment to land for our people after going through the enslavement era, and then was able to get the land and repurchase the land and pay for the land and get back the land. Now with this SSZ and the proposed destiny and what is happening now in relation to that, your views and opinion.
Yeah. I don't know if you all been hearing me, but I've been talking about this since it started. And I think that this is going to be a defining moment. This is going to take us back to 1975 and the whole about land use. Because we had a situation, I'm sure you all know about the Southeast Peninsula and the situation out there with the development that's out on the Southeast Peninsula and the issues surrounding that. The Christopher Harbour situation. That was in 2007, I think, about that time. And we have had lots of issues about the Christopher Harbour situation. We weren't happy about how that went and how it developed. There's still issues about that. And in addition to that, now we have the question of the SSZ situation. And what I'm saying is, I think what is happening now is what should have happened at the beginning, but better late than never. We have to have public discussion about how we are going to deal with our lands in St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of our development. That we must not be alienated in any form or fashion. We have fought too hard for that. We must be an integral part of our development. We can't have any area where it's off limits in our country. I mean, we must be able to integrate and to, well, say not integrate, you're not integrate, but you must have access to our beaches, free access to our beaches. We must not have a situation where we have a South Africa situation where you have places that are for some people and not for others. We must not have any situation like that in our country. We have fought too long and hard to make sure that those things happening. So I think the debate that's going on now is really good, and I'm sure that the best is going to come up from this.
Out of this, Mr. Condor, is the large influx of people at one given time over a period of time up to 10, 15, 20,000 people is not seem like it's a limit on the amount of people, but also it's where every citizen within that area must pay a fee for citizen by investment, whether they want a passport or not. So I'm not sure if I don't want a passport yet, I still got to pay that fee. So I don't understand that.
That is the point. We don't understand a lot of things about it, and I don't believe, that's why I believe the discussion and the dialogue that is taking place. Because I think a lot of people are exaggerating, people are scared, and so on. Yes. So what we want is the dialogue and the discussion about what is going to happen. We must decide what is going to happen in our country. The people must decide that, and that's why I believe that this is healthy. The discussion, the debate that's taking place is good, is healthy, because out of this we will get the best situation for our country. So things that you don't understand must be made clear by the authorities what is going to happen, because really a lot of things that people are saying, I don't see how they're going to happen. It's just I don't see how they could happen, right? For example, you were talking about the voting and the influx. I mean, I don't know. We need development. We need development. We need our country to. We need investment. Investment that we don't have, but the investment must be investment that we approve of, that does not alienate people from their land, and do not make them subservient to anybody. We have fought for our sovereignty, our independence, and so on, and we must continue to live like that. We have acquired our land for our benefits of future generations, and we must continue to protect that. But we need to attract investment, because that's the only way we can develop and advance. But it must be investment that we approve of, and that we're going to elevate in every way the social, economic standing of our people. And I believe we could get that if we negotiate properly.
I want to piggyback.
Has to take place.
I want to piggyback around independence time, where the Nevis Island came up with the Nevis Island administration and the clause 113 and its local government, but at the same time think it's end up with a local government and end up with a clause 113. So, and at the same time, I know you spoke and said that the independence, the constitution need to go on rewritten because it's flawed. So, which means you see a lot of things wrong with that over the years.
Presently,
I usually say
that the constitution and what the paper is written on. Really, and we had an opportunity. We had an opportunity. In fact, I'm trying to. I've seen a copy of the report, right? And I spoke to the Prime Minister about it just recently. What I like him to do, and I hope he does it, I'm going to impress upon him, I'm going to follow up on it, that we have a reprinting of that report and made available to fellows like you. Because this is really what the independence should have been about, Just imagine you went to independence, the discussion, and again, as fate would have it, I had the opportunity in 1979. In 1979, I was in England. I was in Ruskin College in England. When Limo and Southwell and the NRP, Sim Daniel and Bamin and Stevens came up to negotiate for the independence. Because you remember, we were supposed to be independence many years ago, because I'm sure you're aware that is after the demise of the West Indies Federation in 1962. That's when the movement to independence started, Because we went into the Federation in 1958 with the other Caribbean countries, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana, and so on, and the OECS countries. And in 1962, when Jamaica, we were thinking, folks, you all talk about Garvey and so on, because that's what the West Indies Federation was supposed to be, make us one people. Because we all believe that the unity of the people is important, and that was thing. But people didn't see that the federation. You had people, countries like Jamaica, who thought, well, they want to have their own stuff and so on. So Jamaica went off, broke away in 1962. I think they became an independent country on must be the 1st of August 1962, and then. Because me and Motley was just talking about that at the other day at the UN. Trinidad said it was 10 countries in the federation. Trinidad said 1 from 10 leave north. So Trinidad became an independent country the same year in 1962 at the end of August, on the 30th or the 31st of August, Trinidad. So it left the rest of us. Then Barbados, and guys, this is why we have the central bank here today, because Barbados, we had the Eastern Caribbean Currency Authority that was in Barbados, and Barbados became an independent country in November 1966, and that is why we were able to attract. It was Eastern Caribbean Currency Authority, ECHO, and it became the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, in, I think it's 1983 or something, somewhere thereabout. And so all those countries went independence. And so we were the first country in the OECS to become an associated state. You know, we were statehood. You remember that status, that semi-independent status, statehood in 1967. We were the first country to become an associated state, to become a state with statehood. And we were the last country to become independent. Because not that we weren't trying to get independent, but there were certain issues concerning we becoming independent. Issues that I don't want to introduce right now. But just to say...
One of the questions, that's one of the things. I understood that Bradshaw would have taken a constitution that he would have written for St. Kitts and Nevis to Britain, and that was rejected. And then eventually one was negotiated with Limor and the others and so on. So can you confirm or deny that?
Okay. Well, no, the reason why the Bradshaw didn't get independence, like I say, he was the first to become an associated state, but the last to become independent, is because you remember we had the 1967 uprising. St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla. Remember, we were three countries, the Trinity of Islands. And the attempted overthrow on the Bradshaw government in 1967, 10th of June 1967. And
yes.
Anguilla was separated from St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we wanted to go independence as St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla. And the British said, no way. Anguilla don't want to be part of the state, and we're not going to allow that. That was the main hold-up why we didn't become an independent country. They said Anguilla will return to colonial status. They'll become a colony again. And knowing Bradshaw, I mean, I'm sure you played Bradshaw already, so the Bankie, you were Mr. Bradshaw already, so you would know what Bradshaw stood for. Bradshaw would never tolerate that. You know, it's like people say, he said, over my dead body, and it didn't happen over his dead body because, you know, he said, I will not become an independent state without Anguilla. St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla will become independent. But the British wasn't going to entertain that. And so that's that. But when Bradshaw died in 1978, we decided, well, you know, we have to continue. The countries have to move on because, you know, the independence story was going and developing. Everybody was becoming independent countries. And so we went to England. But you know that Nevis also wanted some secession as well. That was a major problem in terms of moving forward independence. Nevis again wanted their own separation. That was a major problem. But the British was not going to entertain that, the separation and so on. So we were thinking. So Bradshaw died in 1978. And so we were going into independence. And Southwell and Bradshaw had Southwell and Limor went and started to negotiate the independence and so on. So that was going all right. And in 1979, we had agreed that St. Kitts, the British agreed that St. Kitts will become an independent country, St. Kitts and Nevis. And again, unfortunately, Mr. Southwell died in 1979, May 1979. And so it was left to Limor and the Labour Party to continue the war. There was an agreement in 1979, and I have the report. I'm going to try and make this report available to as many of you as possible. I've spoken to the Prime Minister. We're going to get this report reprinted so that it could be circulated, because this is good education for us, for the entire country. And there was an agreement that, you know, St. Kitts and Nevis will go into independence early in 1980. That was an agreement, you know, between the British government and the St. Kitts Nevis government. St. Kitts will become an independent country, and Nevis will have a referendum in 18 months after independence. That was the agreement. 18 months after independence, and on secession decided whether they want to be free or not. So that was an agreement. But Limo decided that he wanted his own mandate and so on to carry the country into independence. And so he called an election and lost the election. And so as a result, you had a PAM NRP coalition that decided that they're going to take the country independence. But the independence talks was really, and in fact, like I said, I was in England in 1979 when Limo and Sim Daniel and they came up, and I had the privilege, as fate would have it, I don't know. I had the privilege of speaking to Limo in London in 1979, and I had the privilege of speaking to Sim Daniel, Stevens, and Bamin in 1979 in Oxford. They came to my college and they were talking there because they had, as part of the team, they had some folks, some divisions who were living in Oxford who were part of the team, and they came to my college and we gathered around and we discussed the matter. So I was there in England when that happened, and I had the opportunity to speak to the division leaders, and I had the opportunity to speak to Limo. So I know what that was about. I also had the opportunity, I was back in England in 1982 when the independence talks was taking place. And I stayed with the Labour Party delegation. I remember who all was there. I mean, most of them have died now, but I remember people like Ted Hobson. Ted Hobson was there in the thing. Henry Brown was there. Both of them are alive still. And so I don't know. Simmons was there, and Powell, and so that was part of the government thing. But I had an opportunity to interact in an intimate way with what was taking place. And I know the Labour Party had as a alternative to what they were presenting as the white paper for independence, the green paper. You mentioned the green paper. I don't know if you have a copy, but that's available as well. Where Sinkers would have had their own government, Nevis would have their own government, and you would have a federal government. And the arrangement would have been completely different. That was rejected, where Nevis has its government and Sinkers doesn't have a government. We are part of the federal government, but we don't have an island government.
So is it time for Sinkers to have a local government, and then there is a federal government? Where is it time for that to happen presently, and constitutional reform?
Like I mean, the whole constitution. I mean, the fact that one of the things that were discussed in 1982 was that nobody should be serving, and they write there in the report. And I'm going to, like I said, let you guys have a look at the report. Nobody should be in two cabinets. That was said. That was a proposal that you can't have anybody sitting, because remember when they went up to discuss the proposal, the independent proposal, you had divisions who were part of two cabinets, and we said that should discontinue. That is not healthy.
But Honorable,
yes, let the listeners know they can always. We need to make the telephone number is under the screen. They can also be a part of the show. Okay.
I'll do that, Bankie. I'll do that. I'll get into the comments in a little bit, and then I'll call in, right? But
yes,
as I'm listening to the Honorable Sam Condor, right?
Sam Condor is good, man. Don't worry, the Honorable. That's too long.
I can't help. I like that. To think and wonder. Like, I am listening to you, who is one of the longest standing politician in St. Kitts and Nevis at present, and you are here telling us that the Constitution doesn't even seem to worth the paper that it is written on. But I'm hearing this argument from all of the politicians that the constitution is flawed. But at the same time, I am not seeing the efforts from these same politicians to make the changes that is necessary. So it makes me wonder if, like, this is not a game where the constitution is flawed, but it benefits those who are at the helm, who happen to be the politicians, you guys. And so it's a case of the battle is not broken, so let's not try to fix it. So everybody knows it's wrong, but nobody wants to be the one to say, let's fix it. How are we going to seriously make some efforts? Because, I mean, here's it, 42 years of independence. We haven't even had a discussion about becoming a republic, which is the next stage of independence. I would have heard the Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, when he got in earlier, and he went to England. I don't remember if it was when it was the Queen's funeral or if it was something else that happened before that, the swearing in or whatever it is. He said that under his government, he's going to push for Sinkies to become a republic. But we have not heard that discussion. We have not heard any discussions in that regard. And so sometimes I really wonder if it's not just a lot of lip service and people talking things that is convenient when it's convenient to make us play and prey on our emotions when it comes to issues like these. Because, like I said, you have been a politician, and many of them, like you, who are still there, are saying that the constitution is flawed, and we have top lawyers. Look at the premier, top lawyer, and he's one who says not even a comma has been changed in the constitution. So why are you guys doing this to us?
You're quite right. And like, let me tell you something. One of the things I told the Prime Minister just after the election, I said, PM, we have an opportunity to look at the Constitution. In fact, I was saying that one of the things we could look at is making the Nevis Island, because for the first time in 42 years, we had the Nevis Island election and the federal election in the same year and almost the same time. You had August and December. And I said to the PM, I said, PM, this is a good time for us to have fixed election date, and you have the two elections the same time. That make it more efficient, more effective, and so on, right? And put out the Constitution for discussion right away. Look at the boundaries, the increase in constituency boundaries, because that is really inequitous. I mean, I don't know how we could have a constitution which says you have 11 seats now, right? 8 on St. Kitts and 3 on Nevis. But if you increase the bound, and in fact, you have the constituency in Nevis that is smallest in numbers. You have a constituency in Nevis that is under 2,000. Several of the constituencies in St. Kitts is over 8,000. So, and the Constitution is saying we wrote that into a Constitution, which is just unthinkable that anybody could want to do that. That you have in the Constitution that you have 11 seats, 8 on St. Kitts, 3 in Nevis, and if you want to increase the seats, Nevis must have a third. That is unreasonable. Why you had to write in that in a constitution? We had.
Currently, the premier asking for 2 more seats in Nevis and then 2 more in St. Kitts, which drive up Nevis to 5 seats.
Yeah.
And which means if anywhere around Nevis can end up and be the Prime Minister then, if St. Kitts,
I mean,
so this would have been right. So you need balance. There should be balance when it comes to the numbers of people. There should be more.
The people, the number of residents in a constituency.
Yes.
I mean, how anybody could agree to writing that in a constitution?
Yeah, Bankie, I'm hearing the Honorable Sam Condor, right? And it's kind of tough because you have been a politician. So some of the licks that's going to be shared, you're going to be guilty of
I know.
these things as well.
And let me just let me just respond to you. In what it was 2002 or 2003, there was a constitutional reviews. It was election. I think it was a constitutional review that I was the chairman of. In 2000, early 2000, and we tried to make some gains, and again, it was, people didn't take it serious, and we weren't able to make the changes. But the members were, I remember, from the Labour Party, it was Dwight Astafan and myself. From CCM, it was Malcolm Gishard. From NRP, it was what's his name? Patrice Nisbet. And we went around St. Kitts and Nevis to try to address these issues. And again, the people, the participation and the involvement of the people just wasn't. But we have made several efforts.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, because that's one of the things I was going to get at, because what I find a lot of the time is that there is that talk, but then there is not the level of consultations that's needed. I find that
like I said, we were both in St. Kitts and Nevis. I remember going to have some heated meetings in Nevis, about this. Like I said, the commission traveled widely between St. Kitts and Nevis. We met with the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the Christian Council, the Evangelical Association, all the political parties. In fact, Pam boycotted the thing. They said they don't want to be no part of it because they weren't a member of parliament, and they said that they should be included. But they could not have been included. It was a parliamentary committee. They didn't win any seats in 2000, so that they weren't part of the thing, and they boycotted the thing. We have to get serious about this constitution. The constitution was too transactional. I think Pam really gave away everything in order to become the prime minister and the first prime minister and that kind of thing. Because I mean,
you said transactional, but how come?
I'm not hearing you. A lawsuit.
No, you say it's transactional. Well, how come the PAM government didn't put in place where St. Kitts can have a local government? They're saying it now. Everybody's saying it. You see what I mean?
Well, transactional in the terms that they gave Nevis all they wanted in order to become the first prime minister. They just gave Nevis all they wanted.
Yeah, but they should have put in place.
Saying at the conference, he said, when theory become practice, we are going to see, the challenges, because I don't believe that they should have written in the Constitution secession. You can't institutionalize separation. You're going to independence. We have to work it out. If Nevis want to go, I mean, you could say, well, they have a referendum, but you can't put it in the Constitution. Nevis could secede, but St. Kitts can't secede.
Yes. Yes.
Then the revenue sharing, all those things didn't have to be part of any Constitution.
But even the revenue sharing is still not happening. But even if it's in the Constitution, it's not happening. Well, suppose it's in the Constitution, what will happen?
That is what making the Constitution so ineffective, because you have it in the Constitution.
And
it's not happening.
Sam, that is one of the things that I'm glad that you're really touching on this topic, and you're making it really challenging for the callers tonight and the folks on the comment wall, and so, because there's so many things that we still want to touch on. Because as you talk about the revenue sharing, that is one of the biggest problems that I would have had, or challenges and questions that I have had as I've been listening to the fair share discussion. In the fair share discussion, it was only mainly about the non-taxable revenue.
Non-taxable, right, absolutely.
Revenue, which is the CBI.
Right.
He was not touching on the taxable, because the reality is that in relation to the taxable, the NIA under the CCM governments, successive CCM governments, would have chosen to blatantly break the law, break the constitution by choosing to not pool the taxable revenues and share it.
That's right.
So I always ask this question: how is it that governments or elected officials could blatantly break the law, break the constitution, and no repercussions? Because that is what has been happening for these years. And so I've been arguing that is part of the challenge that the Prime Minister has or had in relation to addressing the fair share, because he cannot come and address the non-taxable and still overlook the taxable that is blatantly being disrespected. And I've been saying that how is it, like Bankie asked earlier, if you have a constitutional agreement that you're not agreeing to, you're blatantly disrespecting it, what other agreements that you could come to that you would respect?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
The challenge that I've had where that is concerned. But as we think about it, I'm going to get into the comments on the wall, give you a chance for a breather and stand, and then we're going to give out the numbers for folks to call in and give folks an opportunity to call in. Because, I'm sure, based on how you're feeling right now, that you will be open to have us bring you back at some other time. So if we don't get to ask all of the questions now, we might be able to get you back at some other time. So Trevor Cabo Cornelius says Julius Garvey was not impressed. Marcus Garvey messages have died in our country. Marcus Garvey said any race that depends on another race for their survival is a race that is bound to be doomed. He was asking what time can you call in? Anytime after the next, let's say the next 5 minutes or so, Cabo. I'm just going to go through these comments and then we could get into that. Bobby Jones says, that's right, Yahsonn straight to the SSZ law and Destiny proposed project on Nevis. Steve Mills says, what is wrong with us investing in ourselves? All the CBI money that was wasted in the past, if that money was spent investing in ourselves, we would not have to be in the situation that we are now.
Absolutely.
Steve Mills says, Yahsonn, straight talk. If the constitution is flawed, but nothing is being done to address it, something is definitely wrong.
That's right.
Good night, all. Larry Watton says, Cabo says, once in a while you can share your phone numbers or numbers. Cabo, the numbers are sliding across the screen. So if you look at the program, sliding across the screen, you'll see the numbers sliding across. 1-869-662-7196 or 1-869-665-8459. So sorry about that, people, but the numbers are sliding across the screen. So if you want to, call in, the numbers are sliding across the screen. Over on the YouTube platform, the Carlisle Paris says, wow, that is my father's brother, Uncle Weston Paris. Spyler Flick says, does the Honorable Sam Condor think it is unfair that Sinkis doesn't have a local government? I think you responded to that already.
Yes,
and you said,
let me take this call. See, we have a call coming in. Let me take this call. So what's going on?
Let's take the call, yes. Yeah.
Carla, good evening. Hello? Carla?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Welcome to the topics.
And I hear this gentleman talking about secession to be in this Nevis because it's
Carla, you're not speaking clearly. Speaking to the phone. You're not speaking clearly.
Are we so done?
Yeah, go ahead.
That we don't realize if Nevis got secession, Sinkis got secession too. Why we so dense? We can't see that. We blaming the constitution for all kind of wrong thing, and the Prime Minister them making all kind of bubble, breaking the line in front of us, and nobody saying nothing. They blame the constitution. You take money for Bradshaw building, and he spend it, and he give a come for the money. These guys doing all kind of thing, and they blaming the constitution. How we do this so damn banks? If Nevis gets secession, Sinkis gets secession. That's it. And this no tax.
Carla, I don't understand that. If Nevis gets, I don't understand that. If Nevis gets secession, Sinke gets secession. That's what you're saying. But it's Nevis voting, not Sinke voting. It's Nevis voting, not Sinke's voting. Is the people of Nevis will be voting for secession and not Sinke's people? No?
Don't be stupid.
What?
If Nevis gets secession, Sinkers get secession because they're going to be on their own.
I understand that. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nevis gets secession, automatically get secession because they're going to be on their own. It's common sense.
Yeah.
When they divided, of course, I understand that's what you mean. Yes, but what I'm saying, Carla, I mean, listen to this. I mean, Sinkers don't have a say in separating. Is the people of Nevis will have a say if they want to separate. It's not like you have like all the Sinkers and Nevis, both island have a say where they're voting to say, well, they want to separate. It's just the Nevis is who pulling away from Sinkers.
As long as Nevis full away, they're own. And the Constitution says, Nevis will set up the Constitution, set up the administration. Everything is in the Constitution.
Yes. Any other point?
You take it back in the room now.
Huh? Okay. Carla, thanks for your call. I mean, greatly appreciated. But I get the drift. Yes.
Once
I guess the point that he's making, once Nevis secedes,
that
will be seceded as well. They'll be on their
but
own.
you can't have an arrangement like that. It's like a marriage.
Of course.
It's like a marriage, but only the wife could issue a divorce. Could apply for a divorce. So you gotta wait and see where she do, how she do, and so on and so on. But you can't divorce her, but she could divorce you.
Yes.
That's not a relationship.
Yes. It
must be equal.
Yes, definitely. But that is something that really need to be put in place. We really definitely have, and also your task when it comes to electoral reform also. Because is this a lot having been happening under 42 years of independence? We still have a lot to put in place when it comes to the constitution, electoral reform, and fair share, and nothing is going on. So
boundaries and so the constituency boundaries. And look, guys, that was a proposal,
Yes.
That was a proposal in 1982 that we should have independent electoral and constituency boundaries. 42 years ago, we said that.
Yeah, I got a caller on the line.
Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead, yes, sir.
Yeah, caller, good evening.
Yes, Yahsonn, Sam Condor, Bankie. I keep listening to you guys' show. It's very interesting. And what you guys are doing is basically like opening a flower, unfolding other things there. If Sam Condor say he worked on the Bradshaw, Sam could know that in the days of Bradshaw, even guys like Mr. Gaskell, and them at one time, Miss Pomeroy, Sam Condor, at one time Mr. Bradshaw had to go and pick them up because there was too much, there was no transparency, and the foreigners had more power than the natives and the citizens. I think history keeps playing it over and over again, but we are here to write history in our own ways, not to repeat the same things. Personally, if agriculture should be the most important thing in St. Kitts and Nevis for the people, because if you can't, if you're just running a country based on food, then you don't have farmers planting, then you're gonna find you're gonna spend a lot of money for foods that is not even, in effect, genetic, not organic. Everything is gonna be the for the people who consume it. It's important to know what you consume in 2025. And if nothing is set for the farmers, then nothing is really set for the people. I need all the parties to get themselves together and come up with something. You know, I mean, they say my grandma would say, put your eggs in one basket and guide, look out for it. Some people say put your eggs in different baskets and guard it with your life or whatever it is. We are not eggs, we're not baskets, we're not chickens. We're each individual here who are listening and who are living on this earth. We are here on a divine order. And we just got to find ourselves and place ourselves in it to make things work. I mean, like I said, I've been listening. And, you know, this is the first time that I'm calling in. I think Yahsonn is my family. Me and him grew up together. Bankie and I, we grew up. Sam, you're a good friend of mine. And I think you guys are doing a good job. But like I said, whatever we're doing, there has to be transparency. If there's no transparency, nothing could be effective. It's going to be all manipulation and confusion. Transparency.
Yo.
I think the caller gone. Hang on, miss. I cut out.
Muted.
Yes.
Yeah, you need to get cut out.
But Sam, you want to comment off anything?
I didn't hear a lot of it. And I'm hearing clearly the callers.
Yes.
Just tell me, just briefly.
Yeah.
Basically, he was saying that he has been listening to us and he thinks that we are doing a good job. He was saying basically that, you know, a lot of what we are doing, if we don't have transparency, you know, we're going to find ourselves with problems going down the road. We need to be more transparent in whatever it is that we are going to do going forward. He also talked about agriculture and the need for us to zoom in on agriculture and food security.
I couldn't agree with that more. I think we really missing an opportunity, you know. That's all we got. I keep saying that, you know, agriculture is the cake. Everything
Sam, hold your thoughts there. Let me get his caller in. Hold your thoughts. Let me get his caller in. Caller, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, gentlemen.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Straight to it. Straight to Sam Condor. I want him to talk about the Brian clause and give his opinions on that, where it stands now and where it came from, where the Brian clause derived from, and you know, let's get him, just give some comments on that and some history.
No problem.
And one question concerning that I want to ask him is that the Brian clause, we see that certain persons in the Federation was affected by that Brian clause. Sean Richards, Lindsey Graham, Brian himself, and forward to today. I don't know if that affected Janice Daniel Hodge, but I wanted to talk about it and ask him about the purpose. Why is that clause still sitting there?
No problem.
You know, to me, it's discriminating against certain of the citizens, and I just want him to clarify that clause and bring us up to speed, and also the dual citizenship clause. And let me go to the lands. You know, he had a lot of comments about land being, you know, prestigious and, you know, is our independence and such things. The fight that we had, the history of us fighting for our lands, out of slavery. And let me just ask him a quick question. What does it mean when we hear the term Bradshaw secured the lands and Simmons paid for the lands? What does that really mean? And what would he want to see of the SSZ? Because of all the backlash, does he want the SSZ repealed because of all the backlash? And over understand, is there any type of conflict of interest, you know, going on with that proposed destiny project. And I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Carlo, for calling. Appreciate it. All right, Mr. Condor.
I didn't hear that. I'm not hearing clearly. I'm not hearing it. Could you repeat for me?
Oh, he was asking. Well, he asked a number of things. He was asking about the Brian clause, and he was asking about dual citizenship, and also what's going on with the SSZ over in Nevis, if there's any conflict of interest, and Bradshaw secured the land coming up into independence, and then Simmons paid for the land. What is your input on stuff like that? I know it's a lot.
And he also asked if he's of the view that the SSZ should be repealed.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. In fact, it is saying that that you're going to come back to the agreement has to come to Parliament. That's your understanding. That there's no agreement. People, the agreement between when they begin to do anything, it must come to the Parliament for it to be approved. That's your understanding of it.
Sam, I understand that, right? But let's be realistic, right?
What we do is it seems like we put in the cart before the horse in this case.
Yes.
Because as I understand it, that they won't be able to do anything. Wherever the agreement has to come to Parliament. That's my understanding. I don't know if you all have a different understanding. But anything they agree to, when the people have the submission, must come to the Parliament for debate. But the only thing about that is that once it comes to the Parliament for the debate and the Parliament approve it, then it goes out. It is out of the hands of the people.
What is going on right now is that the masses don't want the project to happen. It's too much of a large amount of people come into the country. Is a losing of a large amount of land. So if the masses what the masses is asking for, they don't want the development like this. And since the bill wasn't come to the people before, they don't want to partake in it. They don't want they need a development, yes, but not of this magnitude. And so, but let me take this call and then come back to that.
Okay.
Carlo, good evening. Hello.
Hey, greetings, fellas.
Yes, good evening. Yes, you're live on the topics.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say greetings to Yahsonn, Condor, and you, my friend, the King, Bankie.
Yes.
And you guys are doing a fantastic job. But I have an input, a question. Did I hear Brantley is trying to bring 5 people in the house in St. Kitts in Nevis itself?
In Nevis, two more in Nevis and 2 more in St. Kitts. As in the federal, he's asking for yes, 2 more requesting.
Well, at the sound of my voice, I hope he's listening to me. Mark Brantley is just gaslighting the people because presently we have the opposition leader, Janice Daniel Hodge, and he's fighting tooth and nail for her to be in Nevis. So if he can't get Janice in Nevis, why is he fighting for 5 more people to go in St. Kitts? That man is just a crabbit, useful thing in Nevis. He's not good for us. And I'm saying this just to make a comment for you to guys say anything when you want after. I think he's a horrible human being. And what he don't want for himself, he should want for others. Thank you.
Carlo, thanks for your input. Yes, and go ahead.
Well, Bankie, I'm telling you, like, we are really in some serious time. Sam, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Destiny proposal? You would have seen the video that was presented yesterday, I think, or Sunday. If so, what are your thoughts on what's being presented to the people?
Well, that proposal has to be dissected. I mean, what I heard the guy saying is that, boy, this is all good for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. You know, you all gonna get everything. He's calling out figures, how much 20% of that, 10% of that, 5% of that. What we're gonna have, people gonna accessible. We're gonna train people. We're gonna educate people. We're gonna have investment in education. I mean, how this thing sound, right? From the presentation, you would want to say, well, that's something that we could accept, but you have to look beyond that, beyond what he said and so on. We have to basically bring down and see who is controlling these things, you know? Whether we're setting up a separate, you know, government, a separate establishment, you know? This thing sounds like a government within a government. So we have to be careful. We have to make sure that we sit down and we dissect these things. I mean, I think we really have to go back to the drawing board with this matter.
But you see, Sam, this is part of the problem that I have. So here is it that we're talking about going back to the drawing board. And isn't this a case similar to the Constitution, where you find after it has already been drafted or drawn, it is now much more of a challenge to then repeal or amend a law than to fix it before you even get it into the House. And so you have a situation now where the act has already been passed. Now, all of what we are talking about now, and all of what, even though we have found that, you know, in a lot of cases, sometimes topics are brought to the table, but are usually then just after 2-3 days of discussion and so on, nobody hear nothing about that topic again, right? But this is a topic that has been on the table.
But what we have to look at is not the act, you know, but the agreement. Because the act is a wide general thing, but we have to go to the specifics. And what we want to know is the agreement.
Agreement in terms of what? Agreement in terms of, you mean in terms of Destiny and the NIA?
Yeah. What's the agreement? You know, the implement is what is going to happen, because the act is just a general thing.
No, but the reason why I'm going to the act, right? The reason why I'm speaking to the act and the fact that it is already in place is in the same likeness, where even though the argument is being presented that, well, whatever it is that is being presented would still have to go to cabinet first, or go to parliament first. Now, when you go to parliament, let's use the present parliament. If it goes to parliament, the likeliness of any minister of government who is in the present administration right now to vote against it is slim. So the reality is
not slim. It's not going to happen. Anything that goes to the parliament will pass.
So that is my point. So then why try to boast and say then that it has to go to parliament, when the reality is going to parliament really don't mean anything, because there's not going to be any debate in there to stop it from going through. So what kind of games are these guys playing with our people? Anyway, there's a call on the line. Let me see if we could entertain the caller. Good evening. Sorry about that, but I just wanted to get that point across. So good evening. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
I can't hear the caller, Yahsonn. Caller need to speak up. Can't hear nothing.
Can't hear anything.
They said they're not hearing you.
They're not clear.
It's about money, it's about education, it's about information. So this veteran here, sitting there among you all in politics for years, and they're debating an issue where he didn't even read. They don't, in this thing, they don't have for the deputize their police them over there, so they run their own police. They acting as if you don't know. You guys gotta get the documents if you discuss it. You'll be sitting in the dark. In this thing, you're talking to the High Commissioner and the police of the deputize their own police over there. Be acting like you don't know and sitting down and read every day. You have a Joe? He's advisor to Joe?
I don't know. I don't think he's an advisor to Dr.
Ask
Joe.
him, he's right there. You don't know, he's right there.
Wait, he stepped out. He stepped out for a second. He's not on the platform at the moment, but I'll ask him when he comes back.
You got to the documents if you're going to discuss it. And it don't make no sense. All of these things in the documents, they're going to have their own police. They're going to have a ton of their own road. You can't go straight. Look, let me tell you something. This is not the first, They have one. And when you go to this like a mall in America, when it's on a dead end, you control it. You see how the people in Haiti live in galvanized house, close to each other, with all this promotion, with all this the gangster violence going on over there right now. This area is untouched. Anything you want, pizza, bunty ice cream, anything you go in there, you think you're in America. But people still living in galvanized house close up to one another. I don't know the people living so close on each other. These things don't help the poor. Right now, they're mandatory that you go home. Bankie, you should understand this. The mandatory is for you to go home, but yet you can wait months to get your pension. You think that's right? You can't live on a check from month to month, from week to week. You live on a paycheck from week to week. And they're going to mandatory you go home and you can't get money for months and you talk about sustainable. This thing causing people hungry. You let them off, you let them off, but yet they can't get a pension. So how they going to live? These guys are focusing on people, When the government collapse, the building don't suffer. It's the people suffer. Listen, trying to get the document. If you're going to be in the media to give information, you got to have information. Otherwise, these guys don't come and run you all over the place. People don't know they're supposed to get their own police.
All right, man.
Yes, sir. You have
thank
to
you.
repeat because we can't hear. We can't hear, so you have to repeat what you said because we can't hear clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically, he was saying that, well, first he was asking if Sam Condor is an advisor to the Prime Minister.
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
I'm not.
I did tell him I don't think so, but
No.
to verify that. Okay, so but he was also saying that seemingly, some of the things that are being said that these people over there are gonna have their own police force and so on and things like that. But the reality is we don't know all of the plans and so forth.
Of the details that was in the document, yeah.
Right. We're getting the information bit by bit and so on. However, here is where one of my challenge is. Seemingly, how this thing is being discussed and rolled out, it's almost as if it's a done deal already. As you are saying, even though you are saying that it has to go through Parliament, all the feedback and pushback that we're getting from the public, and even though there's a push from the public to say, repeal this act, I am not hearing any politician, neither on Sinkits, nor on Nevis, saying, well, we want to take into consideration what these people are saying. And like Mayor Mackley said in Barbados, whatever law she was trying to put in place over there, she had a pushback and she said, well, we're going to have to repeal this and go back and have a discussion on it again. We are not hearing that. So what we're hearing and what we're experiencing, it seems as if, regardless of what the people say, they don't went and put this law in place. They don't have this discussion with these people. And they are going to do this thing. And they are going to push this thing through the House and the Parliament, knowing that when it goes to Parliament, it's going to pass anyway. So regardless of what the people are saying, it's almost like, you done do the person whatever it is, or you done do whatever it is, but you're trying to come with a story to pacify you after you done do whatever it is that you already do. Knowing that it doesn't matter what is said after, you're not going to change your position.
Yeah.
And seemingly, that is what we're dealing with as a people.
Yeah, but this has political consequences, because people are going to vote. People are going to vote.
But Sam, here is the thing. Here is the other thing. Even though it may have political implications in the sense of voting and so on, here is part of the problem, and this is why I'm talking about the Constitution and how I am unliking it to the Constitution. There is a similar situation in Honduras, where there was a similar zone, and what happened in that zone is that the government before would have allowed them to get set up, and then when the next government came in now, they recognized, like, well, this is not something that they really want to deal with,
Right.
and they tried to make the changes, and as a
Not
result
trying,
of
they could make changes.
hold on, but they're being sued by these people for some.
Well, go to court. Go to court. Go to court.
So I hear you, and then we lose. Let's say for example, we lose, and then that burden now is on the taxpayers. We the taxpayers, something that we never had anything to. We never really totally agreed with in the first instance, but was forced on us by those who we elect to represent us and who should have consulted with us, opted not to consult with us and just do what they want to do.
No. Well, this is where he's gonna come in, because if the government, laws could repeal, laws could change, and if a new government had a different view about the law.
I am hearing that, but in all of this discussion, we're hearing a lot of people coming out, QCs, other legal luminaries, all kind of other people who are coming out and speaking out and saying this should be repealed. But we are not hearing not even any consideration from neither NIA nor the federal government to say, okay, well, these people are pushing back, and I think we need to really maybe consider repealing this thing. All we're hearing is from both governments trying to convince us that this is the best thing since sliced bread, that we should jump on and go on board with this thing.
Well, nothing wrong with that, because this is the thing that they're trying to convince you. But the public, that's why the campaign must be sustained. The discussion must be sustained. They must know whether the people are for it or against it. People must come on the streets. People must protest. That's democracy. That's how things are done. People can't be afraid to do these things if they don't like it, they don't want it. And the government will understand it. The government is putting their political, reputation at stake here. This is a defining moment. This is a defining moment. People must just speak up. I mean, not no panic and no thing. Just speak up. We don't want that. We don't want this. We would think we prefer this. We could, and election's gonna come. Election's gonna come, and people will cast a vote according to what they feel.
Mr. Condor, I know we would have gone into a number of things, and I guess that topic would have caused us to even step forward to some of the things that we would have wanted to discuss. But
let me just tell you one thing. Just one thing before we go. In this matter, I don't know a matter that we have seen of this for a long time. That right across party lines, right across party lines, right across social lines, right across economic lines, across cultural lines, across religious lines, people are, in the same party. In the same parties, people got different opinion about this. In the same organization, people got different things about it. In the church, in the chamber, everything. So this is a defining moment, and I think what we need to do is to discuss the matter. The government will have to listen, because they have to go back to the people, and in the end, it's the people who will decide what we want for the country.
Sam, you must touch on agriculture, because I know you say agriculture is our salvation. You're always saying agriculture is our salvation.
I believe that.
You can't. You're going to touch on agriculture. Very important.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that. And you see, like I keep saying, I don't know if people don't understand. Agriculture, there's no other activity could promote rural development like agriculture. Agriculture while there is the mechanization in terms of there's the most labor intensive of any economic activity that you could think about. And so we have to understand that agriculture is our salvation. We have to focus on that. And I know people talking about the money that we lost for the CBI and something. That is gone. We can't do anything with it. We can't bring back that. But we have agriculture. There are things we could still do about agriculture that would benefit our country and promote the development of our country. Just recently, we had the regional agricultural forum here. I spoke to a few people who came in, and they are convinced that, we're on the right track, but we have to, step up our game, And one of the things about us, and we're small enough, we have to get the philosophy of the cooperative in terms of agriculture. We have too many people who think they could do it on their own. They can't do it. We want a complete revision, training of the people, project proposal in terms of accounting, in terms of managing. What's happening now is just counterproductive. It's not good. Fellow driving down, he go up in the thing and he plans and he put the thing in the back of his Jeep and he put the money in his pocket and then he go in the shop go buy something. I mean, that is antiquated. We have to modernize agriculture. We have to get it planned and organized. The marketing, the planting, the storage, the all kind of thing. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be doing more of that right now.
Sam, in all fairness, right? I hear these things, right? But then when we look at the budget allocation, we know all these things needs to be done. But then you look at the budget allocation for agriculture and you realize that in order for these things to be done, you have to have this money up front, and seemingly they don't put that money in place for these things to happen. And so we have some serious issues, and that's there's a lot of lip service where agriculture is concerned.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree.
When it's convenient and so on, but then I
agree. 100%.
Let's look at even this land issue that we're speaking of. When you go back to history, it is the same lands that the Europeans used to make millions and billions off of. It's cocoa, it's copra, it's sugar cane, it's coffee, it's all of these agricultural crops. And we were going. Nevis was known to be the queen of the Caribbean because we were supplying most of the islands, and the queen lands with food. St. Kitts and Nevis were known as top agricultural lands. You listen to people like Willie Doe, and I had a relative of the guy there from Montserrat. Bankie spoke about him earlier on there. Wally Wade, who came on and spoke of people like Wally Wade and the contributions that they were making, exporting, cows and sheep and goat and so to all Martinique and Trinidad. And so when you look at that, how do you look at that? That was like 60, 70 years ago. How do you move from there to where we are now, where we are depending on 90+% imports and a lot of processed foods and foods and all of that? So we have we're talking about SSZ. Why are we not talking about allocating a couple of hundreds of thousands of these acres into farming to really set up our farming industry? Set up 100 acres of avocado, put in an avocado oil manufacturing plant. So when you get the avocado, you can also get avocado oil one time. Label it, brand it, market it as you talk about. Why are we not thinking of that? Mango, get a couple orchards of mango, couple orchards of moringa, a couple aspects of something else.
Bunch of processing, make the mango into all kind of thing.
Exactly. And then that way we keep the lands. We don't have to sell out the lands. We'll be making money from the lands while still keeping the land.
Yep.
I mean, we talk about cannabis. Cannabis was supposed to be one of the alternative revenue generators when they talk about diversifying the economy. However, 3 years now, they would have decriminalized cannabis and certain things still ain't gazetted. But they could run in the house in less than a month and get this SSZ bill ready to sell out the lands when cannabis could have been one of the ways of helping to maintain the lands. No, it's not funny, Sam. I mean, these things are serious.
Sorry, I apologize. Sorry. I agree with you.
I get you, man. But I mean, like this is some of the issues that I look at from a layman perspective.
I agree.
So we're looking to give opportunities to sell out the lands and even encouraging our people to sell out the lands. Now, another point. You spoke about the area over there, the peninsula.
Southeast Peninsula. Christopher Harbour,
Okay. Now, let's look at the reality. Those lands over there were similar to the area that is being designated in Nevis for the project over there.
Yeah.
But then Dr. Simmons would have had the brainchild of putting that road over there, which opened up the area for business.
Yeah.
And the local landowners were able to benefit from
make millions, billions, make billions. Land went from $3,000 US a square foot to $30,000 a square foot. Landowners became rotten rich, and you know who pay for the road? The people of the country, the taxpayers of the country, the ordinary people of the country. While landowners became rotten rich out of it.
So why isn't a similar proposal good for the people who have lands over there and would have been paying taxes for their lands over there? Because they said that the lands over there for over 100 years and in being used. But if infrastructure was put in, roads and electricity and water, don't you think a similar situation would happen for the landowners who are there presently? Instead of having to sell out the lands now, their land, even if they sell it out, it would be at a much higher rate for them because the government, who should be putting in this infrastructure, for them.
Yahsonn, let me take this call.
Yes.
Carlo, good evening. Welcome to the topics.
Yes, good night, Bankie. Good night, Yahsonn.
Good night.
Good night, Sam. Good night, Sam.
Good night.
I try to make the program late.
You go ahead.
And I just heard they talking about the Southeast Peninsula and where the road was constructed during Simmons' time. First of all, let me tell you something, gentlemen. My name is Winston Welcome. I am the first Kittian who worked on the Southeast Peninsula Road. The company that the contractor was Redondo Construction. That road was not financed by taxpayer. That was financed by USAID.
A grant, a loan from USAID had to be spent. It wasn't a grant, it was a loan.
Sam, I'm going to correct you.
Okay.
That was a grant by USAID. Not taxpayers' money of St. Kitts.
He said a loan by USAID, not a grant. This was a loan, not a grant. You're saying a grant, but it was a loan. Had to pay back.
That's a loan. We had to pay it back.
But go ahead, Carla. Make your point. Finish up. Go ahead.
From my understanding.
No. Go ahead.
I stand in correction.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Carla.
But moving forward, okay, that Southeast Peninsula, just like the SSZ zone in Nevis, that bring in millions and could have bring in millions and billions of dollars, right? The SSZ zone in Nevis, just like you said, Yahsonn, that could have been a zone that designated for agriculture. Also, mango trees don't need no soft soil.
in that respect to go. Certain things don't need that tilted soil. I don't think that SSZ land should be sold out. Our land should not be sold out to foreigners. And in spite of what is going down, the next government, should I get a chance to be in that government, should I be the chance to lead that government in St. Kitts, the next administration, I will repeal and I will run all these people out of St. Kitts and Nevis. It's not going to happen. So whatever this administration is doing,
10 seconds, Carla.
yeah, I will repeal and throw these people out of the country. Citizen for 10 years, 20 years, you come to rob us. And we're not going to allow that. And for that reason, let this administration continue to do things behind closed doors and don't let us know. But there is a shark coming on its way. Thank you, Bankie.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your call. Yes, Yahsonn.
Yeah, that is something that we could check. We could research, right? How the Southeast Peninsula Road was financed. I am sure it was financed by money from U.S. aid. That is correct, but not a grant. No, nobody giving you not like that. That was money that we had to pay back.
Okay, so
Your next call, Nick. Yes, I'll take this next call.
Yes.
Caller, good evening. 10 seconds.
Yeah, real quickly, man.
Yes.
I really would have liked to get Sam Condor to comment on that Brian clause.
He'll answer before he Caller, he'll answer before when he wrap up. He'll answer when he wrap up. He'll answer when he wrap up.
Yeah, okay, and secondly or lastly for me, for the night.
Yes.
Why this SSZ law is a federal law, but why do we see the distancing from the Sinkist politicians, and also the Prime Minister himself did some distances as well? Can we get Sam to talk on both of that? Thanks, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Okay. Go ahead, Yahsonn. Sam?
Yeah,
Yahsonn,
you want me to do the Brian clause?
yes, go ahead. Respond to the blurring clause.
I mean, like I said, it's things like that in the Constitution, you know. I mean, the Constitution, like I said, what the paper that was written on. There was no need for no clause like that. In fact, you have people, you know, here who Brian contribution to this country, you know. I mean, that is just spiteful and vindictive. And they have people like Brian who come to St. Kitts and Nevis and who throw in the lot here with the ordinary man and woman and who help to develop our country. Well, you want to stop them. In a small country like this, you want to stop anybody who could make a contribution. What's the purpose of that? What's the benefit of that? That's counterproductive. That is small-minded. And you can't base a constitution like that. A constitution is supposed to be aspirational. A constitution is supposed to be something that people, you know, that ennobles the human being, humanity, not punishing people. And this is the whole thing about this our constitution. But what you need Brent lived all his life here. And they have people. In fact, the other day I went to a program over in Cairo where Pastor Brown, Pastor Brown and his wife. Pastor Brown is a man for the Church of God or something like that. He came here with his son. His son here for his wife is from Tobago. He's from Tobago and his wife from Trinidad. They came here 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Their son was what? Months old. The contribution that he's making to Cairn and the surrounding area, if he could make that on a national scale, it's only we got to benefit. This is his home. This is all he knows. But according to the Constitution, he ain't supposed to be able to make a contribution at the national level. Why you want to do that? What's the purpose of that? Stopping people from making a contribution? If people want to vote for you, they vote for you. But people who spend all their life here come here as babies and so on and grow up here and so on for whatever reason, accident of birth. Why you want to make anything like that? Does that make any sense? You're spending taxpayers' money and so to craft a constitution like that? To benefit what? To what? Makes no sense.
You know, Sam, as you just spoke about taxpayers' money, right? I think sometimes people, a lot of us, are not necessarily putting things into perspective. And I say this because I hear this pushback when we speak about the government actually investing in those areas over there, that same southeast area over there in Nevis. And there's a lot of pushback, people saying, well, you know, why should the government take up money to invest in roads over there and putting in infrastructure over there for these people to benefit? But these people own lands over there, right? And these people are Nevisians who would be paying taxes, and they would have been paying taxes for those lands. Now, anybody who have lands, that should be a basic thing that government put in place, infrastructure. And when you put in infrastructure for the people, you're using the same people taxes, because when government do these things, it's not government money, it's the taxpayers' money that is being used to do these things. So I don't understand sometimes when people push back and try to make it seem, because what I think sometimes we fail to recognize is the reality is that these people who are elected by us, the taxpayers, and work on behalf of us. They are not our bosses. We are their bosses. And that is why it is disrespectful when they go and do things like this and don't consult with the people, us, their bosses, and don't report to us, their bosses, and when we seek to hold them accountable, they get offended and want to disrespect us and call us down and talk down to us. It is highly disrespectful. And I think because of the reverse psychology that is being used over these years, where after we elect them, because you find 6 months before the election, your dog know them, because they come around the house so often that the dog stop back now. Because they know they're coming to look at job for 5 years. But then after they get the job, then they reverse it and make you feel like they're the boss. And then when you want to see them, you have to set a meeting, and they have you out there waiting for days and weeks and so on to have a meeting with them and so on. I think they need to realize that the electorate of these times are being more informed, and they're going to be holding them more accountable. So just like how they're having the pushback from the SSZ, this is just the tip of the iceberg. They need to realize that they would have to make some changes to deal with this modern electorate. And I want to thank you, Sam, for being here with us. I haven't even gotten through a lot of the questions and a lot of the areas that I wanted to get into with you. So I'm hoping that you would give us an open invitation to bring you back on the platform. Doesn't have to be
My
right
pleasure.
away. Okay, that's very good to hear.
My
So,
pleasure.
Bankie?
My pleasure. Look, guys, my life is about engaging and contributing to the development of my country. Like I say, I am happy with who I am, what I am, and I've been able to be who I am, what I am, because people made this possible. And so anything that I could do to add to the debate and the discussion to develop our people in our country, call me any day, any hour of the night. I got my phone always ringing, and I'm available for my people, and people know that. People know that. So I think just one thing I want to say before I leave. I want to leave this studio because I just talk about the taxation and so on. You know the whole purpose of taxes, right? That's why I was always against the abolition of personal income tax, because there isn't anything. I still trying to find out, and I open to any advice and suggestion. I don't know of any taxation system that is more, that addresses the question of inequality like personal income tax.
Stay in the center of the screen, Sam. Stay in the center of the screen.
It is about helping the people who are better off and who could afford this to uplift the small man class. It is good for the country. When you uplift everybody, when the working class has a higher standard of living, they buy more, they do more, and so on, it's better for the country. The whole country, moves forward and advance with it. But you don't want a taxation system where people just become richer and some get poor. We want a system of government, a system of taxation, a system of what way you operate in, where you give it, like the Social Security. The basis of Social Security, equity, universality, and solidarity. That is how we must address all our public policy issues. Solidarity, we must assist one another. Equity, from those who have and to those who don't. And universality, we must include everybody. That must be the basis of our social and economic policy, our national policy, to uplift the country, everybody. And like I say, I want to thank you all for this invitation. I mean, this was a complete surprise when my friend Bankie called me and he said, Sam, I want to invite you, Sam, man, show, man, and I'm available. This is what my life is about. This is what I want to do. I'm so happy with who I am and what I am. And people made this possible. And anything I could do to uplift the people. I mean, I hear the suffering and they don't find me. I hear the suffering, I hear the challenges and so on. And, I want to do anything that I could help. And so feel free. And
yeah, man,
I must
definitely.
thank you all. I feel honored to be invited on your program.
Well, definitely, I'm going to have you back because there are a number of things that I really wanted to ask you about. Like the fact that the seat that you ran would have been a seat that was held by the late Joseph France, for a number of years. There was a point where they said that, he didn't even have to go on and campaign. He used to just come on with a megaphone and say, guys, election is coming, you all know what to do. So he was a seat. No, seriously, that's what was said about Joseph France. They said that he was a man.
Absolutely.
And if you check the history, he had that seat for, I think, a couple of decades as well, too. He was a strong Labour
longest serving parliamentarian in the English-speaking Caribbean, English-speaking Commonwealth. So
I wanted you to speak a little bit more about him as well, especially seeing that you're on a Nevis platform and he was from Nevis and one of the national heroes for Nevis as well. I wanted to get into that shift from Labour and, being the one who was a part of getting team unity together and all that. So there were a lot of things that we didn't get into, right? I guess, like a soap opera, they'll have to wait for the next series.
Feel free, my brother. Feel free. But I really want to thank you all for inviting me. I'm honored that you think me worthy of gracing your platform here. Yeah, and I want to thank you very much.
I love your humbleness, Sam, and you have been making contribution, politically and otherwise, socially, because I see you as Bankie asks about, how come you're so easy to be approached and so on. Based on your profile, is showing that you have been a people person. You have been a community person, just like your predecessor, Joseph N. France. From what I understood, he was that man that people could have come in the community and the books and he just put a little thing in a brown envelope and get them and things like that. That was how he was. So I'm really looking forward to the part 2. And I really want to thank you for being here with us and being able to share, a lot of your history and information and so on. And I'm sure that our listeners as well would appreciate you being here with us. Some of you who are on the platform and I didn't get to address your comments and so on, you would realize that we really had a tight show and there's a lot of things that we really wanted to respond to. I might have missed a couple of calls as well. We really try to embrace and give everybody as much opportunities as possible. But we had Sam Condor on and we wanted to get as much as possible out of him and while we have him here on the platform. So thank you very much, our special guests. Thank you very much, our callers and listeners. Thank you very much, the Real Entertainment Network team. We can't do this without you guys. We want to be able to say, see you guys on Friday when we have Everything Agriculture. That's at 7 p.m. And then see you guys next week, Tuesday. Bankie, I guess you could probably give us the guest lineup for this week, for Friday and for next week, Tuesday, so that people could have an idea of who to look forward to on our platform. Thank you very much, Sam. And we'll be wrapping up in a bit. Bankie?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes,
and Bankie, thanks a lot. It was always a pleasure talking to you. It was nice hearing from you and look forward to the continued conversation.
Yes, Sam, greatly appreciate you coming on. I mean, you've left a wealth of knowledge and information that some might even know about, and you even give some personal views and that you had with Bradshaw and how we encourage you to, you know what I mean, advance yourself if you need a position, because this is not just giving a position because you support a party, so it shows that a man of principle. So
Absolutely.
I mean, I would encourage more parliamentarians to be like you when your phone is ring, answer the phone. I mean, your phone only have to ring half a ring and you answer. I don't understand that. And then if I get your call back, you see what I mean? It's just a humble, just brilliant, and I can't give you enough word to acknowledge your presence and how humble you are when it comes to reaching out to you, and simple, because it's not that easy. You may take it as simple as it is, but everybody's not just like that, because today I've called many other parliamentarians, even my own, and they ain't answer. You see what I mean? And you are not representing. So it's just different. So it's just noble. And you also give out your number and ear all the time too. So you're a man of your words. You don't hide your number. You open it, giving it out on the air, and just what you said is just how it is. So I appreciate that. But let me say, coming up this Friday, you'll have Dr. McWilliam Jade, along with his students, Akeisha Fergus and Chris Broadbent, along with another doctor. Definitely. And then next week, Tuesday, on DeTopiks, we'll have Mr. James Gaskell and Charles Gaskell, father and son. And then on the Friday, we'll have Akeisha Fergus and her partner, Ryan Kadu. Both are farmers and business owners, so definitely looking forward for those two discussions. But Sam, again, thank you again for being a part of the show, and definitely I'll reach out to you and definitely to be a next guest and continue the discussion. Yeah. Time is just not long enough, definitely.
Okay, good. Good, guys. Peace, love.
Yes.
Yes, man.
Appreciate it.
Ira, Real Entertainment Network team, thank you very much. See you guys next week, everybody. No problem.